Hi there, my name is Aaron Adams. I am the Music and Media Director at Fellowship Baptist Church in Thanota, Florida. And our church has bought some new audio consoles. So that experience has been unique. We were very diligent and purposeful in doing our research before we chose what system, what tool we were going to get. And I wanted to share with you how that experience has gone and what the pluses and minuses have been. So first off, it would help if you knew what systems we purchased. We purchased the PreSonus Studio Live Series 3 system. And within that whole ecosystem, we have bought 3 audio consoles, which includes 2 of the 32SC consoles and 1 64S console. The 32SCs are for our student area, our youth area, and our kids' church area. And the 64S is for our main auditorium. In addition to that, we purchased 2 of the SW5E AVB network switches and 6 of the EarMix 16 AVB network personal monitor in-ear systems. We also got a PreSonus HP60, which is a 6-channel headphone amplifier for us to be able to do some wired in-ear monitors in our student band area. With all that, I just wanted to share what this experience has been like, how PreSonus ships and takes care of the equipment, how they box it up, and how it's gone getting everything set up ready to go. So I guess we'll start with the boxes. Right off the bat, when I got the equipment, it was packaged well. It was arrived safely. Our actual audio console, the 64S, the most expensive thing we bought, actually had some damage to the package itself, but because of the way that they packaged their audio consoles, did not touch the audio console itself. In addition to that, all of the equipment, when you pick it up and feel it in your hand, if you haven't touched any of it, it feels very solidly built. The SW5Es kind of feel like little miniature tanks. The little network switches feel like the heftiest piece out of anything. But the EarMix 16s, they're very lightweight, but they're very durable. They don't like twist or flex in your hands at all. They're gonna hold up, you can tell. The audio consoles feel the same way, very durable. And the HP60 is a rack-mounted headphone amplifier, 6 channels, and it's built well. It feels good when you're picking it up, handling it. I don't feel worried that I'm gonna break something as I move these things around right now. From there, the next step that you really should take if you're doing this, if you're purchasing this equipment for yourself, the next step you really should take is to register it. So you register your equipment using PreSonus's, they call it My PreSonus. And My PreSonus is basically a place that you can log in, you tell them who you are, what you do, and you say, and I bought some stuff from you. The easiest way for me to register things was actually using their app. So if you get on your app store, I'm on an Android device. It's called My PreSonus. Now this is a little weird. I don't know that you can see this. The actual name of the app on my home screen is called Native Scene. It's got the PreSonus logo on it, so I know what it is, but that's a little strange. But that is the My PreSonus app, and I assume that that's just the tool that they used to build their app, and it just kind of kept the name for some reason. It's probably something they should look into. And from there, you touch the little My Products button at the bottom, and you say, there's a big orange button that says Register a Product, and then you can register software or hardware. PreSonus also sells software. So if you go to hardware, there's an option for you to scan the barcode of your hardware with the serial number on it. And it was very easy to scan that barcode, say, hey, I bought this late February, that's when I purchased it, and bam, registered. There was a single but significant hiccup in the registration process, and that is because we purchased 6 of the EarMix 16s, the My PreSonus system would only allow me to register 4 of them before I had to reach out to support. And the instructions that came in the pop-up message were to reach out to a support email. And when I emailed that support email, I was told that that support email, I received like an automated response that said, support email is no longer functioning, and that I really needed to use the support function within my PreSonus. So then I followed through that process, and it took about a week, and then they just registered my products for me, said, here, what are the serial numbers? Can you send us photos of the barcodes? And I sent them the photos, and then a little while later they appeared in my PreSonus, and that was that. The next step in the process of getting all the systems was to update all the firmwares. Now, the firmware updating is kind of a varied experience depending on which piece of equipment you're updating. On the network switch and the EarMix 16s, the only way to connect to them is via a network cable. And if there are any other PreSonus products on your network that you try to connect to with your computer, you're not going to be able to find them, at least not easily. The instructions on PreSonus's website, from my PreSonus, that's the way to get the most up-to-date firmware. You really can't get it from their website directly. When I went on their website, it was a different version than what was in the PreSonus, which was a more recent version. So you can't get the most recent version without registering your products. But once you register your products, there's a little video that will walk you through the process and tell you exactly what you need to do, how to do it, and you should have no problem doing it. It's a little intimidating doing it on the network switch and the EarMix 16s because of the fact that you have to know what IP address you're going to input, and you got to download the firmware and then deploy that package manually. It's not very intuitive for somebody who hasn't done that before, but the instructions are very clear, so you'll be able to do it. Just do what they say. The consoles were a different story. The consoles I plugged in with my computer via USB. I opened up UC Surface. I told it to search for the updates. No problem. The other thing that we had, because of some sort of sale going on, we were able to get the Fat Channel Plugins pack, which is a set of additional compressors and EQ models that you can use on your individual channel strips. So these are really cool and they're really great, and that was also accessible via UC, which is their universal control app, which you can use either via a computer or a tablet. And so we did exactly that. We used the computer, and there's a way to sign in while got your universal control open. It searched my PreSonus login. It said, hey, you have access to the Fat Channel plugins. Let's install them in your console. And then you reset the console and all the changes take effect. So it's pretty easy. Then you move on to actually setting up your system. Setup is pretty varied depending on your use case. It can be very simple, and you can just turn it on and all of your analog inputs on the back of the console are routed. The analog outputs on the back of the console are routed one-to-one with what you're looking at right in front of you, and you can set up and you can go and you'll be ready to go, and off you go and you're done. Or you can be setting up 6 different EarMix 16s, and maybe you don't want them all to have the same set of AVB streams and whatever it is you may or may not want. So probably getting into too much detail about how to set them up is pretty far outside the scope of this kind of overview here, but I will say this: no matter what you're doing, you want to grab the UC Universal Control either on your computer or the UC Surface app on your mobile tablet, mobile device, whatever. Being able to grab that, type in using an actual keyboard in front of you instead of using the touchscreen keyboard there, sending the different settings, seeing everything in front of you laid out in addition to what you're doing at the console, it makes the entire process much, much better. Not to say it's perfect, but it's a lot better. One thing I will say about setup is I'm the kind of person who would have really liked to have been in UC, been in Universal Control, setting it up before the consoles even got here, and then once the consoles got here, deploying all of my settings to them. Universal Control has no ability to do that. You cannot save a scene's console settings, project files, anything at all in Universal Control unless you are connected to a console. So that was pretty annoying. As before the consoles arrived, I had some time that I could have done that setup, and instead I opened up Universal Control on my computer, not connected to a console, and found that the only demo console they have in there is actually the Studio Live AI series, which is not even the console that I purchased. We're in the Series 3 ecosystem, so that sucks. That doesn't mean the console doesn't suck, but that particular thing was kind of stinky. So we could not do setup until the console was here. But I will say that having the console in front of you, some things are easier to do on the console, other things are easier to do in Universal Control. So it's definitely an easier experience overall to have both of them there. So that's fine, but it would have been really nice to have been able to do some of that setup in advance. Yeah, I'm going to try and make a couple more videos about the experience and what we're finding and what does and doesn't work. I've already done a little bit of mixing, not enough to do any real review or talk about how I really want my workflow to work for that, but I will say that the built-in reverbs and delays, you're going to have to work on them to make them work for you. They do not work out of the box. I will also say that the built-in presets that they have for the channels, like for the kick drums, snare drums, different kind of vocal presets, those are actually pretty solid out of the box. So pros and cons, it's a very inexpensive console ecosystem, and it gives you a lot of I/O capacity. The ability to get the 64S at about a $4,500 price point is what we spent for 64 inputs and 32 outputs is kind of awesome, to say the least. So yeah, so that's what I have to say about that. I hope somebody finds this helpful. And that's that. We really like it. Overall, we really like it, and I recommend it to anybody who's looking at it.